What's up everyone, it's Alicia too and welcome back to my page. Today's video is an all new Q&A. You ask the questions, I give you some rambles and some answers, and let me tell you, I am in a rambling mood because am I illiterate now? Because these last couple of weeks have been phenomenal. My energy is high, I'm in such a good place, and when I am in that mindset, I fucking love to talk, so let's get right to it. I have all of your questions on the laptop in front of me, so if you see my eyes diverting, that is why. But we're gonna get into these. The first question is coming from Joe, and he's asking, how has it been reviewing movies on YouTube lately? Is it something you enjoy doing, and how is it different from interviewing musicians / wrestlers? Well, it's very different because it's not interviewing. Interviewing, you're obviously one-on-one with someone, you have to converse, and with these movie reviews for the Alicia review, it's just me blabbing about something I watched recently or listened to and loved. Movies and television are something that have always meant so much to me, and I've been so inspired by it as of late. So being able to bring that to a different platform with the Alicia review, it's just been so much fun, and it also makes me really watch these films and shows, pay so much attention, and I feel like I'm back in film study school, or film study course, which was so much fun for me. So it's just been a blast. You can catch all of the reviews right here on the channel, along with following at the Alicia review. And yes, you know I had to shamelessly plug that. Krooks is asking the best / favorite place I've interviewed in. And this is hard because I've been interviewing now for close to a decade, and I've interviewed in everywhere from alleyways to beautiful buildings to beside bathrooms to like in the middle of fields. It's been all over, but that's what you do when you're an interviewer, right? You go where the work is. But for me, I think the most standout place I've ever hosted an interview in was this gorgeous cathedral, this beautiful church that was in the Netherlands. I was out there for a music festival hosting a ton of different interviews for the company. They flew me out and I hosted an interview in this church. The stained glass windows were beautiful. The booths that you pray in were just so like meticulously crafted in woodwork. And I just was in there in awe, listening to all of these foreign bands perform and taking in the scenery, and then of course interviewing some of these acts as well. And I just was in a state of awe the entire time. It was stunning. Next, Paul is asking, what's your favorite book that you would recommend to everyone? I have a lot of favorite books, and I think it's because what I read is all over the place. I have a bunch in spirituality, I have a bunch in self-care, I have a lot of music ones, just biographies, but there are two I need to recommend. One would be The Last Days of John Lennon. This is a bestseller about everything that went down in the final years of his life, but also a really cool chronological story of how the Beatles came to be, and obviously the massive relevance of not only Lennon, but also his death and the Chapman involvement. It's a hard read in the sense of if you're a real Beatles fan, they give you the perspective of being in Mark's mind, and that was hard to digest, but at the same time, it really is super introspective and gives you more insight on what happened at the end of his life, and it's just a really fucking well-written read. Another book that I'd recommend is this one called Make Time. I clearly took the binding off of it, which is super helpful for you. But this one was great. I was kind of in a spot in my life last year where I did not know how to balance things out. I was working so much and not taking time for myself. I hadn't taken a vacation in years, and it was definitely starting to weigh on me and my sleep and just my mental space. And this book helped me a lot. It just gives you little tips on how to actually make time and how it's okay to, and getting in that mental space of making time for yourself, and it was a really great read. And now we get to talk about food in this next question, so fuck yeah. TD55 is asking if you could become one brand of chocolate, what would it be? My favorite chocolate is dairy milk. It's just this super rich milk chocolate, melts in your mouth. It's fucking perfection. So if I had to become one, I don't know if I'd go with that because it is kind of basic, even though it's top tier chocolate bar. I don't know, what would I be? Maybe I'd be a Kit Kat because I'm a little like snappy and quick-witted, and I don't know why I relate that to a Kit Kat, but I do, and they're also delicious, so let's go with that. Alex is asking, who is your favorite band? Favorite band of all time, The Beatles, 100%. No one comes close. That's my number one for life. They have helped me in so many different areas of my life, and I listen to them quite literally every single day. So Eric wants to know, who were my biggest inspirations growing up? And I was really, really lucky to grow up in a household where everyone was inspiring in their own way. So I definitely took a lot from all my family members, my parents, my sisters, some of my aunts growing up. And then outside of that, it's just been music. Music's my everything, as I've said so many damn times on this show for the last 10 years. But music's everything to me. So it'd have to be George Harrison. It would have to be Jim Morrison from The Doors. A lot really from Larry David, which isn't music music, I know, but Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm and the creator of Seinfeld, I've taken so much inspiration from him just in terms of that like carefree, no fucks given, live your life how you want mentality. So lots of inspo from lots of different people. Tristan is asking, what is my biggest fear? And this is a hard one for me to talk about just because it does cut very, very deep. But my biggest fear is definitely losing loved ones. And I've been in that position and it sucks. And I had to go through it recently, and it's the worst thing to like even bestow upon anyone to go through. So that's my biggest fear, losing the closest people next to me. Second one would be dying alone, which is so dire and depressing and sad as fuck. But it's true. That's one of my biggest fears, is just not connecting and going alone without experiencing that aspect of life, which is just, again, really dark. So let's move on to the next one, shall we? And this last one is coming in from Frisco Whiskey, and he wants to know, what's a song that always makes you tear up? For me, there's a group from the UK called The Streets. Seriously, like some of the best lyricists and cutthroat R&B meets rap meets rock and roll music I've ever heard. They're so good. There's a song called Dry Your Eyes, and it's one of their slower tracks. It's more of a ballad love song, and the chorus goes, dry your eyes, mate. I know it's hard to take, but her mind has been made up. There's plenty more fish in the sea. And the way that the orchestral elements of the song come together and his voice, you feel so much pain and tenderness in it. It's one of my favorite songs ever, and it's so good, and it always brings a tear to my eye. So that one. That's it for today's Q&A. Thank you as always for tuning in, everybody. Today was very low-key. I've been doing so much travel lately that I feel like, again, going back to the make time thing, I need a nap, and I'm not a napper, so maybe I'll just have to have an early bedtime like a nan. We'll figure it out. But again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the love. Thank you for watching. Plenty more interviews, reviews, all that nonsense will be coming your way. So much love. Stay tuned for it all, and thank you.